For most of my life, I always thought that listening was just allowing the other person to talk. I remember in grade school, my teachers would always say, if you are talking, you're not listening. So I always thought that if I wasn't talking, then I was listening. But really, that's not true. Listening is a systematic process that involves a lot of effort. And so for this listening project, I decided to talk to my brother, who has differing views of our family than I do. And it was a challenge for me to lay down my own opinions and thoughts and experiences with my family and really just listen to what my brother had to say about it and learn his perspective. One obstacle that I faced was preoccupation. I tend to have my mind just run all over the place. I'm always thinking about assignments that I need to do and random tasks and chores and people I need to see. And it's hard for me to just really tune into a conversation and engage in it. So I really wanted to engage in this conversation instead of just sitting there and letting my brother talk to me. I wanted to engage in that conversation. And from the beginning of the conversation, I actually engaged a little too much. I had too many minimal encouragers and verbal cues in the conversation right off the bat, and I just had to dial that back and find the balance of having minimal encouragers, but also being quiet and letting my brother talk and letting the silence kind of amplify what he was expressing. So another obstacle that I faced was the noise of the conversation and just the things happening around us. We had our conversation over the phone, so he was in a different state than I was, and I was on vacation with my family actually. So there was a dog nearby, and the neighbors were working on some housework, and so there was some noise there, but it was nothing too distracting, but it did kind of shift the conversation a little bit, but it was easy to redirect it. But the phone call did work really well because we are so busy, because I was on the vacation and he was doing schoolwork in another state. So he's studying psychology in a graduate program. And so I knew going in that he would have a lot to say and that he would be very intentional about his theory behind his thinking. So I tried to not go in with a prejudgment about that. And just really value what he would say and how he was processing everything. And I did learn that he does care a lot about my family, and he does put a lot of thought and effort into his opinions about our family. So I got to learn some of those, and it was very eye-opening to me. And because of all those details that he shared with me, I got to engage in dual perspectives and not just assume what he was thinking and assume these different psychological aspects that he would interpret or hold against my family. I really just got to understand his perspective and really see the effort that he was giving, and this kind of created the I-thou relationship with my brother and I. For most of our life, we had never really been close, so it was more of an I-you relationship. So it was really great to have this conversation and grown our relationship that way. He said that he's always willing to talk, and so I'm sure we will continue this conversation later too. And as Christians, I do think that it's our responsibility to really listen and to make these I-thou relationships, because that makes a community when we have those I-thou relationships. And I believe that as Christians, we are called to be in community with one another, and to really love and understand and be forgiving and patient with each other. And all of this comes from the power of listening. So thank you for listening to my project.